Hey, welcome to another episode of Coffee and HEMA with me, JB McKeever. I've been asked, I'm continuing on my series of going through some of the questions that are piled up, and if you want to submit one yourself, feel free to put it in the link, which is in the description. And this one is another person who doesn't want to be named. They've asked me to talk about drills used to avoid doubles. Before I get into specific drills, I think it's important to note that doubles is a very broad category. Different things might be causing the doubles, and of course, depending on what you're worried about, or what's causing the doubles that you're worried about, will depend on which drills that you're supposed to do. And broadly, you can split causes of doubles into two buckets, but then each of those has different flavors within them. Some are areas of decision making, and some are areas of execution, right? So, did you make the wrong decision, or did you make the right decision and just do it badly, basically? And the decision-making versions are things like someone's attacking you, and rather than decide to parry, you just kind of counterattack straight into it, or you attack at a moment where you've got no real opening, and you just attack for the sake of attacking. Areas of execution could be your angle of attack is wrong. You've chosen the wrong target location. Your attack is leaving you wide open as you go in, so you're not kind of considering the opponent's sword as it comes in. Or it could be, for instance, that counterattack option, right? It might be that my sword is here rather than here, and here I got hit in the face. Here I successfully counter thrusted, and everybody claps, and that looks sexy while I do it. So first question is, well, what's causing it, right? Look at the doubles that are actually happening, and I find that filming sparring where you're worried about it, and watching it back afterwards, whether it's your own fencing or whether it's somebody else's fencing, is a great way to start dissecting that, right? So that's something useful for everybody, right? So if you're filming someone's fight, it is worth looking at that with the students. Say, look what happened here, what caused that double? Or look, you doubled, maybe you didn't realize it. What caused that double? This is what to try with better, right? So some of it could be that, which isn't drill design at all. With the execution side, though, I think there's a lot you can do in drill design to make pretty much any drill support that, but also you can do it drill specifically by making the opening conditions for the drill explicit, right? You see a lot of drills where, and I do drills like this as well, like absolutely. But fences are here and here. They stand at the same distance. A does an action, even if it's a variable action, an action. B does an action, right? But they're just doing the thing, right? You can flip it so that the same action is prompted by B doing something, right? So maybe B has a sword up and they drop it, right? And that's the opening that A takes to open the drill, right? Or B steps into range and they do that. Or B takes an open guard and does that, or whatever it happens to be. So you can think about what are the opportunities to attack in a tempo and Italian context, and use them as an opener for a drill, so that even when you're doing any other kind of drill, they're training decision making as well. Having variable drills in general improves decision making because they have to do decision making in a drill. So you might not have the same opening every time. You might give them a few different options, and likewise, the person coming in and the person defending having multiple options in order to do it make it easy as well. The areas of execution are much trickier to have a specific drill for. Obviously, if you're doing a drill, for instance, a counter thrusting drill, making sure that the attack is real, so that the defender has to successfully do it real, is another good option for that. But again, doing it as a block practice, which I've talked about many times, isn't going to help them on the decision-making aspects of that, right? So switching it so that sometimes they're doing an attack where this counter thrust is the right option, and sometimes they're doing an attack when it's not, and that they're doing that, maybe a parry instead of a counter thrust when the counter thrust is not the right option, helps them drill the decision-making aspect to that, and making sure the attack is real helps them drill the execution aspect of that, right? So this is really more about tweaking your own drills than doing explicit things, and giving specific advice on whoever's doubling what the issues are. The other things I do sometimes is escalations. That the top end of variation for some of my drills can be making sure that the attacker is actively, the one person is actively trying to double, and that is the drill, right? And the other person is actively trying to avoid the double, right? That works better as a game than a drill, right? So you have a restricted sparring game. Maybe they both have one attack, right? one of them wins on a double, the other one only wins in a clean hit, right? Do 10 exchanges, swap rolls, right? So no one's trading a double. That will help people start thinking about these kinds of things. And one other drill that is useful. I do this mostly with a thrust, because this is where it comes up the most in Vardy. People need to think about their thrusting angle of attack to keep them covered as they're attacking in. It's more of a risk with the thrust than anything else. So the base version of that drill, I have someone standing in the guard and they just kind of thrust in, and that's what the beginners do. But when the advanced people do it, as they thrust in, the person being stabbed is supposed to throw an attack, right? And if the thrusting angle is wrong, they're going to get hit, right? And that means that there is an immediate feedback in the drill saying your thrusting angle was wrong. Even in the first version to it, what I get them to do is I get them to thrust, and if their training partner says no, that angle's wrong, they then second action, but they then do the kind of a straightforward cut. That works better if people just do a direct cut. If people do start doing weird cuts, people will get hit, because that is something that comes through. And then the final game that I would recommend doing is explicit parry riposte games. I know some longsword systems in particular don't like parries, or they downplay them to some extent. I don't want to get into debate about how true that is, because I know it is controversial. But certainly a lot of longsword fencers in particular are pretty bad at parries. Simple parry riposte game, get people to do it. So the most basic version of this one that I like: two fencers stand apart, one of them is attacking, the other's job is to parry that and come back in, right? And they get any attack, or they just attack to the head. You can restrict it if you want. And if they succeed in their parry, they take a step closer and do it again. If they fail in their parry, take a step further away and do it again. Ideally, both fencers should parry, but it's only the first parry that matters in terms of the stepping process, right? To get them to train, yes, parries are good. Yes, parries are a way of setting up an attack, and if an attack's coming at you, kind of come through for that. Outside of knowing what specific issues you're worried about, it's harder for me to give kind of specific advice about what drills to worry. Feel free to drop me another request, the person who asked this, with some more specifics on what you think is causing the doubles, and I'll try. I don't know if I can, but I'll try at least to come up with a drill that would specifically target that. Thanks for watching.